Only got 10 minutes with Robert Wanek, who's been persecuted. We'll be rolling video in the background without audio of his YouTube video where he describes this. Robert Wanek, great 9/11 truth activist, great patriot. He is in high school, and he's won one of our postering contests before. And this time he got expelled for handing out the actual inserts that show you what's really in the flu vaccine. They admit there's mercury. It can cause Guillain-Barré, brain damage, neurological disorders, cancer. They don't want that being handed out. So he's trying to warn fellow students in his off time at school, and this is what happened to him. Robert Wanek, tell us again where you're hailing from and exactly what happened to you.
Well, thanks for bringing me on today, Alex. I attend school in Breckenridge, Minnesota. I attend Breckenridge High School, and every Wednesday we have a group meeting of classes called Connections. Last Wednesday we were given forms to receive our H1N1 vaccines on Wednesday the 16th. I decided it'd be a great idea if I'd fill out one of these forms and attend the clinic to educate others of the possible risks, which a school should actually promote self-education of students.
No, you're a prisoner. You're not allowed to do that. You're to keep your mouth shut, and only in supermaxes are you not allowed to talk to the other prisoners. So you're in a supermax.
Exactly what's happening. So first step that was taken was my principal called my mom and asked her if she had signed this H1N1 form, knowing that I'm anti-vaccine. She said yes because she supports the education of other students who may not be aware of the risks. So
they were already watching you and didn't know why you were agreeing to do it.
Exactly. They were calling my parents.
Well, that's what wardens do. You know, he's doing his job as a warden. Go ahead.
And so the 16th came this Wednesday, and they were calling the juniors down to the science room to get vaccines from Wilkin County Public Health. They called my name. I went down there with about 3 file folders of information that simply had the inserts of the H1N1 vaccine, the Novartis vaccine.
Yeah, you're like somebody in Tuskegee, Alabama, going and warning blacks not to be injected with syphilis. So you're a serious thought criminal. You're going to talk to people who are about to have a medical experiment done on them.
Absolutely. So my principal was at the door, and he said, "Robert, you can go sit down." So I went and sat down next to a nurse. As soon as she told me to roll up my sleeve, I stood up and said, "Attention, I just want to hand out some information about vaccine risks." I only got a few flyers out before my principal came up, rammed his hand into my lower back, and started forcing me towards the door. I said, "Don't touch me, I'm leaving." He said, "I'm just escorting you out." I was out of the room within 30 seconds, but I decided that I couldn't go back to class yet if these kids had no clue what they were putting in their bodies, so I decided to address the line. So I handed out about 30 flyers, one to each kid in line except for the science teacher's son, who refused one, and many of them started dispersing and leaving the line. Others just said, I have a choice, and
I mean, this is real rebellion against tyranny, but the science teacher kid, I'm a scientist. I don't look at what's in the vaccine. I trust my Soviet government. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so these students started leaving, and moments later I heard a student from inside the vaccine room say, "I have a choice. I don't want it anymore. I'm not going to get it." And
so they didn't even know they had a choice, because all over the country it's come out they are forcibly inoculating mainly elementary students because they don't know.
And the funny part about it was the nurse actually tried to almost tell him that it was mandatory.
Excuse me? What did you hear?
I heard him say, "I don't want it, I'm not going to take it." And she said, "Your parents signed a form, you have to take it." And he said, "I'm not taking it." And he walked out of the room, and all you heard was the public health officials trying to lobby his opinion to keep him in there, saying that...
But see, that's how this works. One person says no, and half the people on the line go, "Yeah, I don't want it either." They were just intimidated under the group psychology, the mob psychology, to do it.
And then once these students started walking in with these printed off flyers, they started asking questions like, "Have you guys heard of this?" And the nurses either wanted to take the flyers or get these vaccines done as quick as they could, because every single student walked in with one. that's when my principal emerged in the hallway with a law enforcement officer and said, "Go back to class, Robert." He yelled at me down the hallway, "or I'll have you arrested and removed from school grounds." And I said, "I know the policy. You can't just override the policy. The policy for being out of class is a detention." And I was more than willing to take a detention to get these flyers out. And then after that, I decided I'd go back to class because I knew that they would ramp up the punishment. But at 1:30 is when my class ended, and they announced, "Any teachers or faculty that want the vaccines, please report to the science room." So the bell rang, and me and about 5 other students who are educated on the issue of vaccinations sprinted down to the science room.
So you came back with cavalry. I bet they didn't like that. Now you're trying to warn the adults of the mercury and the cancer viruses.
This time I came back with printed off articles of the 14-year-old student from Virginia who got Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I started telling people about how the Wilkin County Public Health form the kids were given said there's no link to GBS. And this started raising eyebrows because I had an article that directly links the swine flu to GBS.